Okay, hey everybody, we're Brian here from Quant Labs. We are now live. So, if you have any questions, just chime on in. There's a small group of us, as I like to do it. We're going to cover three main topics. I'm not going to go into the book review and what I've just learned in the last 2 weeks. I'm also going to cover some of the topics that may be helpful for machine learning, some of the resources that you can use to lead you down the path to get started if you're new. We're also going to talk about setting up a cloud or a rig of your own when you deploy and train models. The next thing is talking about the framework that we're going to move, or at least I'm probably going to move forward with, is TensorFlow and some of the resources. So I have them all there. I just posted them on my website as well, so you'll be able to get those at that point. Okay, so let's talk about the book. As I said, you guys are welcome to chime in. If you got anything to put out there, don't be afraid. Nobody will bite your head off here. So first thing is the book review. If you are new to the world of machine learning, just general machine learning, and you want to learn pretty well end-to-end everything about all the different types of models and techniques and different types of neural networks out there, this book that I will give you, I'll put it in the chat as well if you are interested. This book is quite excellent. I cannot speak more highly about it. It will walk you. It's probably one of the most popular resources out there. Apparently on Amazon, it's highly regarded. So this is the book. It's called Hands-On Machine Learning with Scikit and TensorFlow. There is a new edition which also includes PyTorch. So that's an extra $30. But I do believe the industry will talk about more TensorFlow in a little bit. So you can get that book wherever you want. Scikit is really neat, but doesn't go as deep as TensorFlow. So again, I'm no expert here. I'm just a beginner, a newbie at all of this. So two types of networks that we can use in machine learning is a recurrent neural network, and that is built and can be applied with financial time series. So there's different places to go to start leading down the path on how to build machine learning models that will help you build out automated trading systems built around these concepts. So I did a search here on recurrent neural network financial time series, and these are the three leading articles that I came up with. Some of them are really good. Just so you know, it seems that Python's the place to be to learn about all this stuff. So let me just pull up the first article. So it's saying Python seems to be the standard. I'm not going to go through the articles themselves, but I will, again, put them in the chat box for you. And as I said, I put it on my blog. So this will walk you through the concept of these neural network types. So the one you're looking for is, I just saw it in here, LSTM. Excuse me. Long short-term memory, and that's one of the concepts within recurrent neural networks, and that seems to be one of the more popular methodologies that institutions use to build their machine learning. So that's the first tutorial. As I said, you guys could chime in if you have any questions. Here's another one on towards data science. So let me pull that up, put it in the chat box again. And here we have this one. So obviously just go on to Google, do your own researching, but this is how I learn new concepts more in detail with actual particular examples that they use to sort of open your mind on how to build machine learning and different types of applications and uses that you can have for it. So this one revolves around volatility on VIX. Again, as I mentioned, long-term, short-term memory, recurrent neural network is very, very popular. Another one is artificial neural network as well that you can look into. And again, that book I gave you will cover all that as well. So there's that. And the other one is reinforcement learning trading Python. So this is another concept. This is very different from standard machine learning. So what I can do is I can pull up this article. I'll put it in the chat box again. And these are another examples that you can use for machine learning. So it's different, as I said, different paths to go down. There's something called Q learning. There's more math involved. It's not as complicated. And again, that book does cover some in the earlier parts of the book how to do a lot of the different methodologies when it comes to learning, machine learning, and the different classifiers and optimizers and building your own and the different types of ways to go about it. So yeah, go ahead. What's somebody gonna? Somebody want to say something? Okay. All right, so continuing along, and then the other one is from Kaggle. The book even mentioned if you want to build out your credibility in the world of machine learning, Kaggle's a place to go for all the competitions. And hang on here. Okay, I'm going to have to mute everybody just to... Okay, so we got that controlled, hopefully. All right, so as I was saying, regarding Kaggle is the place to go for machine learning. And I'm just muting everybody here. Okay. Okay, cool. Sorry about that. So I had to mute everybody there just to get rid of that background noise. All right, so Kaggle's another place to go. Some people will post their winning models. Here's an example. Again, it'll walk you through everything, and yeah, it's pretty good. I'm pretty excited to go into this field. So with crypto as well, you can apply a lot of the cryptocurrency space with machine learning. So these are just some of the examples that I would probably pursue or similar down the line, but I'm just giving you how I do it. So if anybody's got any questions, I can unmute whoever wants to chime in by a voice, or just let me know on the chat, and then we'll move on to the next two topics. Anybody? Because if we don't get participation at your end, this will be a very quick presentation. Okay, I guess I'll move on. All right, so the next one is building a cloud, using the cloud solution, or building your own rig. I've worked with cloud for video hosting, and I will tell you it gets very expensive very quickly. I was paying a couple of dollars a month for hosting videos on AWS, Amazon Web Services. So the question always comes up: do I build my own rig, or do I use cloud solutions? So two different options on that. So let me just get rid of this stupid pop-up. All right, so I posted this article last week. This just came up. Out of the blue, a guy had the same question, and he wanted to know what should he do. He talked about the different chips that are out there from NVIDIA. He did an analysis on the more quote-unquote higher-end chips from NVIDIA, if it's worthwhile to spend for getting those boards with those high-end chips. This is a very good article, and the chips I'm talking about are these. And I'm no expert in this. I don't even know any of this stuff, but I'm just going to depend upon what's being typed out here as a set of options. So we have this higher end V100 K80 chips versus the lower end 2080 and 1080 chips. So obviously it's going to be a cheaper solution for you. He also talked about the costs of using TPUs or GPUs that are hosted on cloud solutions, and how much it will cost you on a monthly basis. Talking to people, I've got shops, startups spending $3,000 on Google Cloud, doing just testing and training models, and it's pretty expensive for a startup. I mean, they can obviously afford it; they're funded. We're not. And the question came up: is it better to go out and buy a rig so you self-host it instead of basically, paying out on a monthly cost on cloud solutions? So one of the estimated costs is about $3,000 for building your own rig. So that's the kind of cost up front, and yet it can get outdated. But if you're starting out, as always in the concept, when you're building any kind of algo trading shop as a business, you're going to have some small startup costs, and then as you evolve, you get better, you build revenue for yourself from your trading. Then you can go out and start adding and increasing your costs and budget for better equipment, better data providers or whatever that you need down the line. So it's no different than a business. So I'll put this article in the chat. This is a very interesting article. As soon as I read this article, it answered a lot of my questions I could have. So it's something to consider. Yeah. And that will lead us into the next topic, which is a good segue, is TensorFlow 2. One thing I did not mention that I will mention, which is pretty exciting with what Google's got. In my group, we've got people that talk about, or in the past, Visual Studio Code, which is the IDE, obviously from Microsoft, and concerns with IDEs to use for these solutions. It's basically coming down to a war, I believe, in the next few years, a war between Microsoft and Google. I think Amazon's going to, over time, lose edge when it comes to being a cloud provider for machine learning. When you see what Google's got, something called Google Lab, is pretty exciting. Code Lab. And what it is, it enables you to, it's called, I was getting my labs and collabs, it's called Colab. And this is very exciting. So no matter what type of device you have the ability now to basically work with a model. So here, what you have is you can enter in all your code in Colab and just work with what is on the other side, which is going to be Google's infrastructure of tensor processing units, which is their own customized solution when it comes to an equivalent of a GPU. And you don't have to worry about, so here's some demos here. I don't know. Again, obviously you can use whatever type of application you want. I don't know, so let's do a screen capture. Or, this is totally unrehearsed. So, all you do is with the interface, you just enter in all your code into Colab, and it will enable to run the code on the other side. Sometimes you still have to upload your dependencies like pandas or whatever for your Python package that you'll use. But some of the time you don't even have to do that because Colab has the shielded environment that you need to have all that running. So when it comes, the really nice thing is when you have an environment for setting up, you're about to train your model, they already have the TPUs ready to go, and you just enter in your code into Colab, and then it will just automatically train your model, which is going to be already optimized, which is the big thing about this. You don't have to worry about deployment, blah, blah, blah. It's there ready to go thanks to Google and how they set it up. So you just focus on building and tweaking and optimizing your model. That's it. You don't have to worry about any of the other crazy dependencies, including the hardware, which is really nice. And I think Microsoft has a solution like this with their Azure, but in terms of generosity, in terms of how much limit you have to render and train your models using these TPUs, the generosity is much higher for free than what you'd get with Microsoft. And that's where I think that war will come in of the cost of wanting to deploy your training on these type of hardware solutions. Over time, there will be probably a war between Google and Microsoft on price, which is obviously a good benefit for us. And Microsoft acknowledges that Python's a standard, so all of their solutions are in Python. But what Google's trying to do here is, you're probably going to ask, why is this free? It's free because Google recognizes that if Google is going to get out of the ad business in terms of having, instead of 90% of their revenue from advertising, they need to diversify their advertising. Therefore, this is why they've opened up the machine learning, TensorFlow. They've also brought out these kind of tools to make it easy for people to get on the cloud, to deploy their models, they're training their models, and maybe obviously eventually go into production. When it's ready to go, then you're going to start being charged for it. And that's what Google's depending upon, is that it will be so good, so compelling, that you'll end up using and paying for Google Cloud over time. And that's what they're hoping for, to help them diversify, not being in the advertising business. So that's why you have these tools. These are very, very cool tools. So you could be on your iPhone, your iPad, or whatever tablet device you have, and you don't have to change anything. All you're doing is just putting code into the Colab, running it, and deploying stuff, training all off of your iPad. This is like where we're at today, and it's all thanks to what Google has put out. This is really exciting stuff. And then that comes back to, this is the new TensorFlow 2. So I'm going to stop. Any questions so far or comments? If not, I'll go to TensorFlow. Right now, oh, okay, thanks, Jacob. Okay, so when you look at right now, the frameworks, if I do a search on Google for popular, or even better, market share of machine learning frameworks, which is this is what they are, you'll be able to see where we're at. So I'll pull off, obviously, this one. Oh, this is from August. This radically changes. So let me put in 2019. All right. So what's going on? I guess this might be a better one. Who knows? I don't know what I'm typing in here, but actually I've seen this article. So this article right here tells you where we're at in September, what the leading frameworks are. So obviously, by a long shot, we have TensorFlow, then Keras, PyTorch, and then all the other ones. So it gives all the different descriptions. And this is where it depends upon how you, what's important to you. If you are doing this for career, TensorFlow and Keras are what you want to watch. And with TensorFlow 2, what Google's doing is putting Keras on the top layer of interfacing with the new TensorFlow 2 to make life easier for people. So when you're using now over time, the next, 6 months, you would expect to see TensorFlow 2 including Keras. So between TensorFlow and Keras, you can easily see that the market share most likely will mean that PyTorch is still very prominent, but all the other ones will probably drop off. It'll just between TensorFlow and PyTorch as the leading industry machine learning framework. So that's going to be important as a decision moving forward. From what I've seen, both on GitHub and in, we'll call it industry, specifically on financial, TensorFlow is the standard what financial institutions use for machine learning, which is important if that's going to be a key decision. So when you go back to that book I told you, TensorFlow 1 is a beast. I would not even venture going into that to learn that. So the timing is great for all of us that are getting into machine learning to focus only on TensorFlow 2, because there's two benefits here. You're going to learn right out of the gate Keras, and you're also going to learn a new version, a much easier version to work with TensorFlow moving forward, because they just brought out the TensorFlow alpha version, TensorFlow 2 alpha, in March. So this is a good resource, and there's going to be more and more of these type of resources. Obviously, Learning from Google does quite excellent documentation for this. So there's lots and lots and lots of ways to learn about machine learning, and it's probably going to encourage you to use both. Let me put this in the chat as well. This will also encourage you to really get embedded with a lot of the Google tools, as well as I mentioned Colab. When it comes to mobile, another great resource that I've been learning from is a guy named Suraj Raval. He's very, very popular on YouTube. His stuff is absolutely mind-blowingly excellent. I mean, I've not seen anything easier to pick up from Suraj Raval on his YouTube channel. So if you are new at learning machine learning, I would definitely subscribe to this guy. He covers all the basics in terms of the math, all of the how to make money, how to he's shown chatbots you could build within 45 minutes using Google, all the Google tools, and deploy it onto Android as a chatbot. So there's a lot of opportunities here in machine learning to build revenue out of, and learning it from this guy is probably the best place to go for that. And he does a lot of excellent resources as well for building like basic algorithm systems, but it's just a great roadmap that you can use to help you learn. I would probably start reading that book I gave you earlier, lay down the foundation with it, and then start to explore the different paths that you can go with this, with the Google stuff, as well as TensorFlow. He does talk about PyTorch, but he will always talk about why it sounds like he prefers the Google solutions. So he does cover other topics on other competing frameworks, but it sounds like his preference is with Android, Colab now, and all the TensorFlow stuff, and a lot of it's built off of the Google stuff. So I'm just following his path, and I'm learning boatloads of stuff. It's amazing. So that's where to go if you want to learn from this guy. And he breaks it down very quickly and easily. It's not hard to understand. So these are really good resources for you. So that's why I'm also looking at TensorFlows with the market share I just gave you. As I said, this is another place to go to start learning about TensorFlow and the concepts of machine learning and what Google's doing about it. So that's pretty well it from my end. And anybody got any questions or such on this? I would probably start with using overall uses of machine learning, not focus specifically on finance. That's where you hopefully will end up. But it's also really helpful to learn about other applications of machine learning. And one area that a lot of people don't cover is the math component of it. I'm very weak in math. I'm like Mr. 1 + 1 = 3, and I'll argue over it. Sense of humor there. But the book that I highlighted does cover a lot of the math, and it's not very difficult. If you know the concepts of summations and things like that, you should not have a problem with the math within that book, and then be able to, again, focus on things like, let's say, Suraj Raval. I just saw he does an intro to statistics, and you'll quickly learn that there's a lot of regression, or it's built off of regression as well. So understanding the math is helpful too. So that's pretty well it from my angle. If you guys got questions, comments, let me know. And this is really good as well to lead you, because this is where I believe the world is going. It's all the old school stuff, but it's all being quickly replaced by this stuff, by the machine learning and the math revolving around machine learning, like Bayes, or I'm going to be doing 2 more books that focuses on Markov, chains, and things like that, which are outside of the popular scope of mainstream core machine learning concepts. But there are other uses that are used for building advanced math models for machine learning. So I'm going to be going down that path as well. But as a newbie, this is where I'd start. It's a big step. It's a huge step, but this is the future, and this is the direction it's going in. So I'm going to shut up now. If anybody's got any questions, comments, let me know. If not, it's only been half an hour, so it's just been me blabbing. But if you got, like I said, any comments or questions, do let me know. I'm going to put this up on my YouTube channel and probably on my Facebook. I'm going to make this public. So as I already said, if you want the notes, if you go to my site at quantlabs.net blog, I did put up the notes that I just talked about this thing here. Right here, all of this is, as I said, posted on the website. Right here, machine learning attack notes. So that is now available online. Any questions? For half an hour, I did okay, I think. But as I said, go ahead.
The crypto markets would have a contingency on the pricing of the GPU cloud computing space. Because as if crypto comes back in like it did 2 years ago, you're going to see the prices jump on the cloud GPU costs, and you're going to see GPUs at the store become scarce again.
Yeah,
so that's something to think about when trying to price out whether or not you want to go with the system or rely on the fact you can get cheap GPU time.
Right. Yeah, I've seen that because when Bitcoin, just between December and I could actually show you a chart of that. So if you, let's say you go to something like TradingView and you do exactly what you just spoke of between.
Well, you'd actually have to price. You'd have to chart out what the difficulty is. The mining difficulties.
Oh well, mining is a different beast because I have people that come into what I do that were miners, and when they start learning about trading with Bitcoin or whatever you're trying to mine, they realize it's a cheaper investment. Actually, there's virtually no investment, and they are making more money by just trading the pairs of all these different crypto pairs.
I understand, but the thing is that when the price reaches a certain point and the difficulty is low, then it becomes profitable to mine. And then those guys go to the cloud because they can arbitrage the cloud prices.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. Yeah, but then how does that relate back to cloud pricing for all these solutions that you speak of?
It'll increase the cloud price because then it'll become scarce.
Right. Because I do know during the drought at this time in the fall of last year up until about here, end of March, I was reading stories about how NVIDIA was suffering. Their stock price was suffering because the demand of Bitcoin. Yeah. And now I bet you if you look at, I don't know if I could do a comparison of the price
what happened was the difficulty got too high. So when the difficulty rises, you get less when you mine.
Yeah.
So if the price, and if you do that, if the difficulty rises too high and then the price drops, which it did from 20,000 to where it is now, the difficulty doesn't come down with it. So then GPU prices crash.
Right. And the supply also goes up as well because I don't know what country it was, but they had problems being able to keep boards in. It was somewhere in Asia, and they ended up having to stop the banning of mining because of it, and it was impacting the supply of certain boards coming out of NVIDIA. There was all kinds of things because when Bitcoin was getting red hot, that was sucking up a lot of the supply of all the GPU boards that NVIDIA were putting out there. But once Bitcoin, the price crashed, then obviously the stock price would crash as well. Because I bet you if I overlay this performance of Bitcoin with the stock price of NVIDIA, it'll be probably pretty close.
Yeah.
So, I know what you're saying, but I don't know if you've been watching a lot of the videos here, but since about early April, the price of Bitcoin, what's it at now? It's just over 6,000, so it's gone up almost 20%, and that's just in the last month. So the question is, if Bitcoin blows through all of the technical foundations that are needed for the price to break through, you may start seeing another rise of Bitcoin again, the price, because it's already gone up 20% in the last month.
It's not Bitcoin you need to watch. You need to watch Ethereum, because that's the one that they use.
I agree. Totally. Yeah, I totally agree, because I've, like, during this period here, specifically December till about sometime in April, all of my other crypto, what I call the big five, the performance of those other bigger, and including Ethereum, were outperforming Bitcoin. I'm just going to pull up mine right now just to give you an example in real time. This is the last hour. Okay, so Bitcoin has moved 0.28% in the last hour. But Ethereum itself has moved 1.32%. So right there, it tells you that almost Ethereum's outperforming right now 6 times more than Bitcoin. And that's usual. But you see, when I track, what I track out of these 5 is Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum Classic, Bitcoin Litecoin, and Ethereum. I will tell you, at some point, when you compare Bitcoin, there is outperformance out of those other ones. And it's usually going to be either Bitcoin Cash will outperform Bitcoin, or Litecoin will outperform Bitcoin. And there's the odd time you'll see Ethereum outperform. But in terms of utility and usage, there's going to be more of that built around Ethereum. And I don't know if you read, a lot of banks have tried XRP, and the performance of XRP has been in decline, but Ethereum's been consistently improving itself. I don't know if you heard about Amazon last week announced that you can now manage a blockchain, your own blockchain with AWS. So that's the start of legitimizing the use of blockchains for general people through AWS. Also, Facebook has announced that they are now, it's been rumored, but they formally announced that there will be something called a Facebook coin. And what they're doing is they've gone out to all their third-party vendors, suppliers, and other banks to build a relationship so that they can go in and fund a Bitcoin to be worth a float of about $1 billion to start, and trying to get people to utilize that and build a use case to start transacting with the Facebook coin. And as people start to use it, obviously the value of it will go up. I've seen articles in the quiet space, we'll call it, where that coin that they were building, their new crypto, was off of WeChain, I believe, called WeChain or VChain. That was what Facebook was using. And then last week again, Elon Musk tweeted Vitalik about, I want to get in Ethereum. And a lot of institutions are, I just remembered, there was a story I read this morning about Morgan Stanley, is it Morgan Stanley or JP Morgan? One of them said they're going to have their own coin. They've dumped the idea, and now they're aligning with Ethereum. So exactly what you just said, Ethereum is going to be the new standard, I believe. Bitcoin, yes, but for transactional use, I think it's going to be Ethereum, as you said. And for my system, 90% of my trades that end up profitable are always in Ethereum. So Bitcoin will rise probably from an investment point, but in terms of usage, it will be Ethereum. That's I'm 100% behind you on that. Anybody else? Sorry. Anybody else got any questions or comments? I kind of took control of that. Sorry, man. Next week, I'm not sure what the topics will be. I'm kind of in transition right now, because when you start to see this sort of chart here on Bitcoin in US dollar and how it's been rising very quickly, even on the weekend, I think it went up a couple of percent. Even an hour on Saturday, I saw it was at 3 percent in an hour move. That's big. And it obviously positively impacts the overall crypto space. So it's a good time to get in and start investigating. In terms of machine learning with crypto, that's too early to tell. But I bet you if you went to Google and you just type in something like machine learning with cryptocurrency, you'll find a ton of articles on it predicting cryptocurrency, machine learning, blah blah blah. So there's lots of examples in there to play with and start looking at it. So it's a pretty exciting time to get into this. Any other questions or comments? So I'm going to start looking at that. But right now, I'm just trying to figure out how to handle my I've got two bots actually, and a third for Forex. What I found is, again, if you look at that performance that I've had here, I don't know if you know, but I've got Litecoin, and Ethereum. This performance has been absolutely mind-blowing. This is since the beginning of the year, and this just speaks in itself like in spades. It's actually yelling at you as this comes up. Okay, you can see here what we have here in December, just around when I turn on the bots. Boom, I've had this amazing performance up until January till about around April, and then we get this slow decline, and then you get these blurts of up moves. So right here, the market has changed. The regime, there's a new market regime in place, and it's starting to form, but the overall trend you can see is down. The other one that's done well for me is BNB Ethereum as well, because I trade in Binance. This has been another excellent performer, which has been similar to Litecoin, but you'll see the same trend. It's just, as of sometime in April, things have come off. As you can see here, it's come off, but that steady performance all the way up is just not there. Maybe it might start building new support levels. I don't know, but right now in the last few weeks, it's been Bitcoin that has been proving itself, and things may move into Bitcoin. So my whole set of bots and everything, I'm transitioning, trying to figure out how to do the pricing aspect of what I've done over the last 4 months. And the other big standard right now that has radically changed is Tron and XRP has doing pretty good. So there's a lot of, let me just show you that pair. TRX and XRP has been doing quite well. And again, this is on, this is fairly new. This was launched, I believe, in February, March. And this performance has been doing pretty good. And this is proving itself. I'm seeing more and more of these trades. Support has definitely been built over the last few weeks. So this may take off, as well as the other one that seems to be doing pretty good is Bitcoin Cash against Bitcoin as well. And you'll see this as well. And these are the ones I'm kind of interested in watching. But the problem with Bitcoin Cash on Binance, with the fiasco with the Bitcoin SV, this may impact on Binance. But for some reason, this is something's starting to happen. I don't think it's on Binance, but it'll be on another exchange. So these are ones I'd be interested in watching. Anybody else got any questions at all? If not, we can end it now. And as I said, keep your eyes on my Facebook page. I post all the events there as well. Where I speak is here, QuantLabsNet, the page. And then there's the events tab that you'll find, and I post everything under there. And sometimes I'm sometimes very last minute on posting events, and the reason is because I've not yet gotten to the point where I have a topic. So sometimes I can do it 2-day notice or even a 1-day notice. But I've been experimenting with the time, and 12 noon seems to work really well for everybody throughout the world. So this is something I'm probably going to stick with at this time, is Eastern Standard Time at 12 noon. So anybody else got any questions? So I'll post this. I'll post whatever it will be next week at 12 noon. If there's any comments, questions, let me know. Oh, a couple of questions. So you're using Google Cloud Platform for V100 to start off? Yes, I'm focusing on Google Solutions. That's from Jacob. I like what Google's putting out. And as I said, if you watch this guy, Suraj Raval, you will see him more talk about Google. And I'm just following his lead. So Koji asked, hi, Brian Garden Forex, do you have any insight on machine learning in this space? Python versus EA. Okay, first question is, I'm with Oanda, okay? I never liked Oanda. Now I don't know what Oanda's done in their API, but I've just discovered a manual I've discovered a manual, a online document. Just give me a second here. It's gonna. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so right now I've discovered a manual in Oanda, the API with Python. I have scoured retail trading solutions for this. If any retail trading platform does this, and the answer is yes, it does it, but it doesn't give you the actual control. What I speak of is there's an ability in Oanda now. I don't know when this came out. This is so amazing. Oanda enables you to see the longs and short percentage on the volume of a particular pair. So when you start to get this type of data, you're getting unknown which way people's direction is going. So if you compare that to, I'm sure you might know about commitment of traders reports, these ones, people devour this information. This is information that people kill for, but it only comes out once a week. This will give you a direction of where hedge funds and more major institutions are putting their bets on certain commodities, on future contracts. Oanda's done the same thing, but they've done it now in real time with their API. Okay, so now you can go out and you can find which percentage of longs will there be on a particular pair and what's the shorts on a particular pair in Oanda. I have scoured all this type of functionality. Can you find it in major trading platforms, and can you specifically find it in MetaTrader, EAs? You can only get that in Python through their API. Knowing that gives you a huge edge over everybody else. Do you need to have machine learning for that? I don't think so, because if you're having the ability to pull direction on a particular pair, you have edge. And as long as people use other platforms and other, like MetaTrader, you will have an edge. I have seen EAs, extended, what do they call them, EAs. I have seen certain EAs that are commercial that do this. I don't know the pricing of it, but you still will not get maybe by the minute, okay? But Oanda gives you that in Python, and that is an absolute power to have that edge. And you get that through Oanda. Now, you're asking about if FXCM has it. I don't think it has, because I would have discovered it. And I have done presentations with FXCM. You want to be with Oanda. And I say you want to be with Oanda because they are the largest broker out there. And when you have Oanda as a Forex broker and the volume that they have globally, you have the advantage of being able to ride trends that you will not get with FXCM. So it's important to acknowledge that Oanda is kind of the broker. And I always didn't like Oanda. But there's some advantages if you're going to do Forex to go with Oanda. and knowing the API, what I just told you about the longs versus the shorts, that's going to give you so much edge over everybody else. So I've already answered your question regarding machine learning in the Forex space, because you don't need it, because now you have the ability to just do a simple check and build a strategy around this. Shorts and longs of all your pairs. And you can also calculate your spread as well. No problem, Koji. I hope that really helps you out, because I just discovered it. And when I discovered it, you got yourself a whole new strategy. And I'm hoping that helps you out, and anybody else listening. Anybody else got any questions? Now again, I just discovered that on last week with the longs versus the shorts, and yeah, I haven't posted that yet, and I may not post it. I don't know. You don't want the world to know about that, that's for sure. But as I said, I've not seen it in MetaTrader, but that's why you want to work with Python. Anybody else got any questions, comments? So otherwise, we'll end it today, and we'll do another one next week, next Monday. And usually I'll do a going once, twice, 3 times, and then we'll end it. So I'll do that right now. So if you got, no problem, Jacob. Anybody have any questions? I'll do a going once, going twice, going two, and I always do 2.5. I go 2.5, 3, and then I go 3. Okay, I guess we're done. Okay, guys, I thank you very much for participating in this and watching and hopefully learning from you guys as well. I'll be doing this next week. Keep your eyes on the Facebook page or the blog, or if you're not on my email, get on that as well. And then also, just so you know, there's some really, really, really good chatter on my chat server, which is private. And once you get on that, you'll get more inside scoop on what I do. Okay, so I guess we're done. No? Okay, I guess we're done. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys hopefully online somewhere or next week. Have a good day, and we'll talk to you soon. Later. Thanks again. Bye.